Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far and welcome to today's video, which is going to be my May makeup roundup. So you may notice I've slightly changed the title of these videos. I used to call this May Faves and Fails or May Favorites, and I just felt like that just didn't really describe what these videos are for me, because often products might not be a favorite of mine, but they also really are a long way from being like a fail, disaster. Like, fail's a strong word, and I don't feel like something should be categorized as a fail if it's just not like my type of product, but there's actually nothing wrong with it and it performs as it's supposed to. I also like to use these videos as kind of a more in-depth, more experienced review of some of the products that I might have done like a first impressions or initial thoughts or try of. And here's kind of the place where I put my updated thoughts, my kind of, 3 weeks of using this product thoughts versus the first or second time I'm using it, and anything else I've noticed and my kind of more developed thoughts. So I feel like a kind of roundup is a bit more of an appropriate term. I'm still obviously going to cover what my favorite products were, any fails that I had, but also like all of the in between those two things and how I've got on, as well as just more in-depth information about the products that I've tried this month. So without further ado, let's get started. So I only have one product this month that is not makeup, which for some of you will be a joy. Some of you I know will be a bit sad about that, but it is what it is, I guess. It's been a makeup heavy month. But the product I want to talk about that is not makeup is this Ilk fragrances. So the full name of the brand actually is Contradictions in Ilk. Now I discovered this UK based niche fragrance brand when it popped up as like a new to Selfridges stock. So you can now shop their fragrances at Selfridges, and I saw them online in their like new in section, and I was like, I haven't heard of this brand before. I loved the look of their bottles, very minimal, very chic, gorgeous looking bottles. And so I clicked and read a few of the note lists for the fragrances, and I was intrigued. I mean, let me read some of these to you. These are just notes and note combinations that I do not know, have not familiar with, have never seen really in a fragrance before. Let's just take the first one, Fantasist. The notes: apple, jasmine, tonka bean, cannabis, and rose. And I was just like, so you know, that doesn't sound like every fragrance I have already. That doesn't sound like something, oh yeah, that's going to be like this fragrance. That was something different and unique to me. I mean, I could read any of these. Infatuated also, pear, grass, amber, rubber, and oud are the notes. And I mean, even reading that list of notes, you think, wait, that doesn't sound like a treat to the nostrils. But that's what intrigued me and hooked me in. Every single one of their fragrances has notes that I have never heard of before or tried or smelled in fragrance before. And that's really all I'm interested in these days. I have a very nice fragrance collection now, a lot of niche fragrances. I've pretty much purchased every niche fragrance that I've ever wanted or been interested in, and I just don't want any more really. I don't want a huge collection of fragrance so that I never really get to wear them all. So I'm really not interested in purchasing new fragrances that I already have, whereas these I instantly was like, I don't have these. I've never even seen anything like these note lists. I also love the fact that each fragrance, it conjures up like a moment, a mood, something, an experience. And I love the stories of each of them. I think they're just so romantic to read these stories, and the sense that it kind of conjures up these memories of experiences that, a lot of us have had all of these experiences, and the fragrance really gives you that memory, which is exactly what I love fragrance to do. So my absolute favorite of the bunch is Infatuated, which is probably the one that I expected to love the most. This is definitely the full bottle worthy for me. I talked about these on my Instagram stories, and it really reminds me of like a cross between Angel's Share by Kilian and Initio's Side Effect. It's like those two had a baby. And if you know those two fragrances and you love them as much as I do, you'll know that's a good looking baby, or a good smelling baby, I guess. It doesn't smell like a baby, you understand, but it is gorgeous. I have been trying these back and forth all month, and I find it very, very hard to tell you what my second favorite is, because I love every single one, which has never happened to me in a Discovery set before. You have 2, 4, 8 fragrances in here. Typically I'll like 1 or 2. I love all 8 of these. I could easily wear any of these. They're absolutely stunning. The quality is amazing. The performance is very, very good and consistent across the board. If you just love trying fragrances and you want to smell fragrances that just don't smell like everything else that you already own, this is an amazing discovery set. It was just so much fun to get to know these fragrances and I'm in love. I cannot wait to see and learn more about the brand because so far, phenomenal. So next up, let's talk about this Dior Backstage palette. So this is Coral Neutrals. Now I did do like a review of this. I have had this for a while now, a few weeks now, and really my kind of thoughts on it haven't changed that much really from what I said in, I think, my Try New Makeup Like Get Ready With Me video. It's a very pretty peachy palette. I like all of the shades in here. They're very, very pretty. They work beautifully. The mattes blend very nicely. The color story is like perfection to me. Peachy gorgeousness. I love the color story. What's just slightly missing for me is like the impact. There's just really very few, well, there's no impactful shimmers in here, and I'm not getting like the contrast between like matte and shimmer that I like. And yeah, I can definitely get a really pretty peachy look out of this and be really happy with my makeup that day, but it never wows me. It's just always kind of a bit lackluster and a little bit, it leaves me like wanting more. It leaves me wanting to reach for a Pat McGrath palette and tap like a shimmer over the top and get me what I want, you know? So yeah, it's okay. It's certainly not a love. I don't have any issues with it, with its performance and with the application or anything like that. It's just not quite giving me what I like my shadows and my palettes to give when it comes to like impact, shimmer, and just, you know, joy. So again, I did review this month. This is not that new to me. I've had this a good few weeks now. I've used it a good few times. This is the shade Sunbath, which is the deepest shade. We've already spoken about how I feel about that chestnut. But yeah, definitely an average bronzer for me. I like it, definitely don't love it. I definitely don't have any issues with it outside of the Peau shade range. It works, it blends, it looks nice on the skin, and it gives me the level of pigment that I want and need. I like the undertone, but yeah, there's just nothing like wow about it. It is very expensive, and therefore I want it to wow me. I'm not wowed. I'm just like, I'm okayed. Okay, that's fine. It's nice. It looks okay. It's giving me bronze. It's bronzing me. But that's about it, you know? And I think, again, you know, the bar for bronzer around here is high, okay? You got to get up there in order to go into my like regular reached for bronzer drawer. That's not going in there. One, because it's too big, doesn't fit. So that's number one. But if it was that great, I would have cleared a space. Okay, I'll just say that now. I would have cleared a space for you if you were that phenomenal. And it's just not, it's just okay for me. I don't love it. I wouldn't like say to rush out and buy it. You know, the Charlotte Tilbury powder bronzer, the Victoria Beckham bronzer, the Marc Jacobs Beauty bronzers, all I like way, way more than that. It's just, yeah, it's just an okay for me. And a very large and pricey okay. So next up, let's talk about these Charlotte Tilbury kits, these 5-minute makeup kits. These, if you'd missed, again, my review, I have reviewed these. It was a first impression, so the first time I used them. These contain a cream eyeshadow stick, a cream blush and lipstick duo, and a cream highlight. So I picked up 2 shades. I do have a video of me using these on my face and giving you my initial thoughts, but I have used them a few more times since then. I love these. I think the idea is great. I plan to take one of these on holiday. I have kind of swapped them around. So I've kind of moved a blush stick out of one set to make it kind of like my perfect holiday set, which is the perfect thing about these. Do I absolutely wish they came like with a bronzer option? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I wish they did. A lot of people have said that. I wish they would bring out bronzer sticks to go in here. That would be the cherry on the top for me. But these are absolutely perfect for holiday and travel. My thoughts haven't changed. I was very pleasantly surprised by the cheek and lip sticks, that they actually felt nice on the lips and they looked nice in both areas and performed well in on both my cheeks and lips, because that's quite rare for those products. I feel like they either have a horrible feel and texture for a lipstick, or they're too sticky and shiny on the cheeks. These are like really, really nice in both those areas. So I think that's amazing. The eyeshadow sticks don't wow me, but they certainly do like the trick and do the job. And I just think they're great. Could they be a bit better just by giving us more options as far as adding bronzers, maybe like a little mascara that would fit in here, and just other options? I think we can definitely improve on them by adding those. I would like to see it. But I really enjoy them. I think they do exactly what they were designed to do, and they do it very well. Next up, let's talk about this Keys serum. So this is the Let Me Glow Illuminating Serum. Also use this in a Get Ready With Me if you'd like to see it on the skin or on my face, because I'm about to show you on the skin. But this is essentially a luminous glowy primer, and I really like this. It's very thin, hydrating consistency, and it gives such a beautiful luminosity and glow to the skin. I absolutely love this. I don't like it as much as my Tom Ford soft matte primer or like the Tatcha Silk Canvas, as far as being like a primer that's there to prep for foundation or to extend longevity of makeup. I do prefer those for that. But as far as if I want a bit more glowy underneath a matte foundation, this is stunning and so beautiful. And I've also been using this when I'm makeup free and I just want to give my skin a bit of glow and like healthy, hydrated look to the skin. It's so nice. It feels beautiful. It looks gorgeous. And yeah, I really like it for like a multitasking product. Very, very nice. And I was very impressed. I love the packaging. It's my first product from Keys, and there'll be more. Next, let's go on to the Clé de Peau Cream Concealer. Now, I am not like a stick kind of girl typically, but concealer is one that I like. I get it. I see why a concealer stick is just perfect for like on the go touch-ups. I get concealer sticks. I can get it. This is such a nice concealer. It has really great coverage, but in a very natural way. And like I spoke about in my review, it's like weightless. It feels like there's nothing under your eyes, which is amazing. It slightly creases on me, but not very much. And it doesn't get worse and worse throughout the day. So you set it really well. I set this quite heavily to try and minimize the creasing, and it works beautifully, and it wears very, very nicely throughout the day as well. It doesn't disappear. You don't start to get darkness showing through, which I find a lot of the time with concealers, and it has just a very natural appearance to it. It's not matte. It's like a sort of natural luminosity. It's also not super bright and glowy, as I find that a little bit too much. It's just like the perfect happy medium. I definitely don't like this over my Pat McGrath concealer, before anyone asks. It's definitely not gazumped my Pat McGrath concealer from Top Spot, but this is definitely like in my top 5 concealers, and perfect one to travel with and to go in a handbag for touch-ups, because it's just way more convenient than obviously a liquid. You can tap this in with a finger. You don't need an applicator or anything like that. It's really, really nice. Let's talk about the Estee Lauder Bronze Goddess collection. So I was sent some of the products from this collection by Estee Lauder, which I was very, very grateful for. They sent me the eyeshadow palette. They also sent me both fragrances, which was amazing. Very, very generous. They sent me this highlighter, which is in the shade Heat Wave, very famous highlighter formula, and also one of their bronzers. So this is the shade Sunrise, which is described as a healthy glow bronzer, and it has like different colors in here. This is the lighter shade. I believe there are 2 shades. This is the lighter shade of the 2. So let's start off with the eyeshadow palette. Now, I did post a look using this eyeshadow on my Instagram, and I essentially used bronzer throughout the crease and then just a couple of the shimmer shades, and then I used this to highlight my brow arch. So I've kind of used a few of the shades in here. The performance of the shadows that I've used are really nice. They have a nice no fallout shimmer formula in here, and the mattes that I've used as well were, you know, easy, buildable, workable, no issues blending or anything like that. However, this is just not for me, this eyeshadow palette. I find the colour story a little confusing, and I'm just not really sure like what combination to use or which shadow to put where, because there's just not really sort of any mattes or transition shades in here. So I was a bit sort of stuck for, you know, what colour story to go for if I'm not going for a sort of a purple look. Some of these shimmers, I felt like it was a little bit confused as far as what the colour story is. As you can see, the shimmers were really nice, softer but very pretty. The mattes are very creamy and blended beautifully, and I didn't have any issues, as I said, with the application. There were some nice shades and nice shadows in here, but the colour story just isn't really like inspiring me to use it. I just don't even know what combinations to use. Like I said, I had to use a bronzer to kind of give me a bit of transition shade, so I think this is just a bit not like my type on paper, essentially. I didn't have, like I said, any performance issues. The packaging is stunning and I love the feel of it in my hand, and the huge big mirror is very luxurious and beautiful, but just the colours are just not my type of colours, and I just felt like the colour story it was kind of all over the place for me. So that was unfortunately a little bit disappointing, because I'm sure that'll be the last PR product I ever receive from Estee Lauder. I really wanted to like it, and I love the packaging, and it was my first experience trying Estee Lauder eyeshadows, and it certainly didn't put me off trying them again. This is just probably not the colour story or the palette for me, basically. Now the bronzer, as you may have guessed, unfortunately I can't use. Now I did sort of try to use this on my cheeks as almost like a slightly luminous blush, but I'm sure you can see it's just too light for my skin tone, so I wasn't really able to use this. It's a very nice, soft, silky, sort of peachy glow, but yeah, it just doesn't show up on my skin, so I couldn't really use this very well. But I think for fair skin tone, this is a very pretty luminous blush. I'm not sure that this is going to bronze you if you're not the fairest of the fair skin tone wise, but it's a very pretty luminous blush for anyone with like a fair to light skin. So I think that was really pretty, although obviously it's a bit sad that I couldn't use it. However, we did have one absolute hit out of that collection, and it's this highlight. I absolutely love that embossing on there, so beautiful, and the highlight itself is gorgeous. This is the highlight that I have on today. It's just so pretty, and I feel like it's quite a sort of sophisticated glow. It definitely has the ability to be like metallic if you use a heavy hand and the right brush, but the way that I kind of use it, really softly diffused, it gives this really sort of sophisticated glow and luminosity to the skin, which I really, really like. I actually also used this a bit on my like shoulders today, and I think that works beautifully. The colour is like a light gold, and I think it's very pretty, perfect for summer. And yeah, I really, really like this, and I was not disappointed because this has got quite the reputation, their highlights, and I've never tried them, so that was a win. Next up, something that I picked up this month, I was going to say this year, this month, let's not get too dramatic, that is not new, but it is new to me, that I have been loving, and it's this Nars blush. So I purchased this a couple of weeks ago, I think, just because I think I saw it on someone. I can't remember, maybe I saw swatches or something on Instagram, and I was like, why don't I own that blush? I love Nars blushes. This colour is like a peachy, natural, absolutely gorgeous glowing luminosity to the skin blush. Why have I not already got this? This is the shade Tempted. It's the blush I have on today. Here she is a bit closer so you can see. Obviously a very sort of subtle peachy blush, but so much luminosity. It's just the prettiest finish. I don't know why I didn't know about this blush, but this has like been all I've been wanting to put on my cheeks for weeks. Free poem, and I love it. So yeah, if you're looking for a very soft, subtle, peachy, but very, very peak luminosity blush, Tempted is apparently where it's at. And why did none of you tell me? I'll be furious with you if one of you knew about this. Next, oh, I did not know they were magnetized, so that's a new lesson. Could have gone terribly wrong. Next, let's talk about the Suqqu collection, the Summer Suqqu collection 2022, is it? Good, great. So again, I have reviewed this whole collection. Not very many people watched it, so that was a bit sad, but I did it anyway, regardless. So I picked up both the highlight powder and the blush, the deeper orange blush, of course. I have one of the lipsticks on right now, although I just took it upon myself to start eating a protein bar before I was filming, so it's slightly faded. But I did pick up 2 of the Moisture Rich lipsticks. Is that what they're called? Yes, it is. Great guess. So the shade I have on right now is 123. That's easy to remember, isn't it? Wish all the numbers were that easy. I suppose we can't call all the lipsticks 123, can we? That would be pretty confusing. And then we have 122. One of like my better experiences as far as what's happening. One of like my favorite collections of the year so far. Haven't, as I said in my review, had a great first experience of Suqqu with their foundation, which was not a win, not a favorite. But I like all of these products, and I actually am obsessed with the blush and these lipsticks. Now, that's not to say I don't like the highlight. I do. It's just probably the least favourite of the products that I tried, but I still really, really like it. It's just that this blush just blew it out the water, and I just can't get as excited about the highlight. But here it is. You can see a really nice subtle luminosity with a real sort of like warm tone to it, which I think is gorgeous. But this blush, I mean, forget about it. She's perfect. I love these moisture rich lipsticks. I think they feel so nice and hydrating on the lips, and they're so shiny and luscious. I loved this whole collection. I was very, very pleased and very happy because I maybe had low expectations based on my first experience with the brand. It just goes to show you have to give people a second chance these days. Next up, let's talk about these 2 little brushes from Sonia G. These are her Hinoki brushes, this set of 2 beautifully formed, beautifully handcrafted brushes from the master herself. These were incredibly generously and mind-bogglingly gifted to me. Sonia has just been so kind. I can't tell you how that feels. Okay, I said this on my stories. There's, you know, brands that are like MAC reaching out and wanting to add me to their PR was a big moment for me, because MAC was probably my first sort of high-end brand, or like not drugstore brand, that I ever used when I was like, you know, 13 or something. That was a big moment. But every single time I get an email telling me that there's some Sonia G brushes in the mail to me, it literally never stops being like such a wow moment, because I just feel so honoured to be gifted these products, because the work and the effort and the expertise that goes into these, it's just insane. This is a close-up of those stunning illustrations on that handle. I mean, absolutely stunning. So these are only available as a 2, a little duo, for a very good price, $120 for the 2. That's an excellent price for the quality of the wood and the bristles. These are very densely packed brushes as well. You're getting a lot of bristles in here. So essentially how I anticipated using these is that this would be like bronzer, and that this would be for blush, maybe highlight. And that is kind of still what I would probably love to use them for, but because I can't stop using the Charlotte Tilbury cream bronzer, I've been using the larger brush for blush and actually loving it. It's such a nice shape and size. It's perfect for blush. I have also used this for powder bronzer, and it is like my ultimate dream bronzer brush. So when I can tear myself away from the Charlotte Tilbury cream bronzer, I know this is going to become my favorite ever bronzer brush. It's just the perfect size and shape, and it's so soft, but it's pretty firm. So it's really like a workhorse for blending and applying, but it doesn't apply a huge amount that you then have a lot of work to blend out. It applies the perfect amount of product, blends it effortlessly, and it's just a lovely shape to sort of get right under your cheekbone and around your hairline. I love it. This little guy is incredible. It's so soft and fluffy and light and airy. I love the Lotus Detail brush for my blush. It just gives a very light, natural wash of an application, and this is like exactly the same, except this is much denser. So if you want this for highlight, it's kind of give you still a very fluffy, light, airy application, but it's also a bit more controlled as far as placement. So when you want to do something like highlight and you want to be quite precise down like the bridge of your nose or chin, Cupid's bow. It allows you the control to do that just because it's a little denser than the Lotus detail, because that one is very, very light and fluffy and less dense. This one gives you a bit more control and you can apply product more heavily, but it's still going to give you that diffused blend. They're incredible. I feel like they're such good value. The two brushes in that set, it's just, they're both amazing. They've been an absolute joy to use, and I'm actually terrified. I won't even put these in my brush pots because I don't want to scratch them. Like, they're just living their best life just out on display because I don't want any other brushes to touch them. Okay, I don't want them to get bullied. And now last, but by no means least, it's the Charlotte Tilbury Cream Bronzes now. Again, I did review these upon their arrival at my home. That's to say, I did order them and they came in the post. They didn't like walk here or anything. Sounded a bit weird. But I picked up two shades. I picked up tan and medium is the shade that I'm wearing today. As I spoke about in my review, two quite dramatically different shades, like a big jump between the two. I like both colours. I use both colours. I do feel that I'm more drawn to use the medium more often than I am the tan. It's not to say that I don't like the tan just as much. I just feel a bit less intimidated by it because this looks very dark and I do need to use like a lighter hand, and it is quite a lot cooler than the medium. So again, it's just a little more like daunting or intimidating to use. So I've done some more blended out swatches here so you can actually kind of see the undertones a bit more. Now, it's not as cool. I feel like the tan shade looks like it's really, really cool toned, and actually blended out, it definitely has some warmth there. I just find like the medium is a bit easier for me because I am still a cream beginner, okay? I'd rather like build up, start off, you know, hesitantly and build up than have to like blend out and do some work if something is too dark. So that's typically why I'm reaching for the medium more than the tan, but I am using and loving both. This is one of my favorite, if not my favorite cream products I've ever tried. I do not like cream products really at all. There's very few cream products that have ever kind of made it into like rotation in my makeup collection. I'll try cream products mostly for like the benefit of my subscribers who like them, because I'm just not a cream girl, but I do like to review them because I know it's helpful to other people. But then typically once I've done my review and I've tried it a few times, it goes into like my bottom drawer and I don't really use it regularly just for my own purposes because I just don't like creams. I'm sorry about it. This is the first cream product that I can remember that after the review I just don't want to stop using it. I really barely reach for another bronzer this whole time since I picked these ones up. I absolutely love it. I think they perform so nicely and they're so easy to use. I love how they look on the skin, so natural and skin-like and not like obviously powdery, because they are melting into the skin when you use it. I find them very, very versatile because you can really build or blend as much as you want and get whatever effect that you'd like. And it's very, very easy to do that. They don't disturb my foundation, and powder, blushes and highlights go on top of them easily, and the wear time on these is amazing. I swatched these on my wrist. I can't remember why. I just was doing something yesterday. I have had a shower and tried to scrub my arm, and you can still see the deep, I mean the other one is there as well. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera, but they're still there, and that's the true test of wear, isn't it? That's not to say they're hard to remove with makeup remover. They'll come right off. But yeah, if you leave a swatch there for quite a while, get used to it. But I love everything about these. The packaging I think is really, really nice, and it has a lovely weight to it, a huge big mirror. I think these are great if you want to go away and take them on holiday with you. I'm definitely going to be taking mine because I don't have to worry about it smashing and breaking. It's a really nice large pan. There's an excellent shade range in here as well. They're even deeper than her powders, so don't assume you'll be the same shade in cream as you are in her powders, because the powders run way lighter than their corresponding shade is what I found. But an exceptional cream bronzer in my opinion. I love them, and I don't say that about creams very often. Okay, so there you have it. Those are all of my favourites, fails and everything in between for the month of May. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and I'd love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.